Madam Speaker, New Brunswickers may be surprised to learn that nobody in the provincial government is in charge of public transportation. This has resulted in poor to non-existent intercity buses and rail services to connect our communities. As a result, there is nobody at the table to negotiate fixing the rail line between Campbellton and Moncton so that trains can travel faster than cars, enabling commuter rail to connect the north and south. There's nobody in charge of implementing affordable intercity bus services like the Toonie Transit that exists to connect regions in PEI. Public transportation was completely absent from the Liberal election platform, the government's throne speech, the capital budget, and the Premier's mandate letters. Will the Premier give the mandate of improving inter-region public transportation in the province to one of her cabinet ministers?
I recognize the Minister for Transportation and Infrastructure.
Thank you very much for the question. And transportation by rail is certainly an important mode of transportation for all New Brunswickers, and improving the rail lines that travel through our province is certainly of utmost importance as well. And that's something that CN Rail is responsible for, and the federal government is responsible for. So those talks could be happening, and there are people within CN Rail that I've been in contact with. And so that's a topic that needs to be discussed for sure. As it pertains to other methods of modes of public transportation, that's also a discussion that needs to happen for sure. Thank you.
La députée de Tantramar.
Alors, Madame la Présidente, those talks are happening, but we're not at the table. Les gouvernements successifs n'ont pas agi dans le domaine des transports publics parce que personne n'est responsable. C'est un échec des gouvernements successifs que les gens du Nouveau-Brunswick n'aient pas accès à un transport public fiable et abordable entre les régions. Il y a 7 ans, aujourd'hui, la Société d'inclusion économique et sociale a présenté un rapport intitulé « Des surfaces aux services, une stratégie de transport inclusif et durable pour la Nouveau-Brunswick 2017 à 2037. 7 ans plus tard, ce rapport n'a pas été mis en œuvre. Pourquoi? Parce que personne n'est chargé de le faire. La Première ministre va-t-elle remédier à cette situation en confiant le mandat du transport public dans la province à l'un de ses ministres?
Je reconnais le ministre des Transports et Infrastructures.
The question again, and it is important that we have some sort of public transportation system, especially in rural New Brunswick. And I know that there's lots of work going on in the regional service commissions to try and effectuate some kind of regional transportation that's going to help people living in rural communities. To what extent and exactly what those plans are, I'm not really up to speed on, but I can certainly look into that and find out what's going on with the regional service commissions.
I recognize the member for Tantramar.
Madam Speaker, New Brunswick is missing the train when it comes to public transportation. And the minister responsible for transportation is standing up to respond to my questions. However, he is not responsible for public transportation because no one is. And so he doesn't know what's happening with the regional service commissions and what's happening with public transportation, which does not connect the regions, and that is a major gap. There have been talks happening with Via Rail, for example, to make sure that there's investments done in Ontario, for example, but what about New Brunswick? We need someone at the table and someone responsible to make sure New Brunswickers have access to public transportation to address affordability and accessibility for those who don't have their own vehicle. And so, it's been 7 years since the ESIC report from Services to Services was released. 7 years today, we still don't have someone responsible. Will the Premier put someone responsible for public transportation?
I recognize the Minister for Transportation and Infrastructure.
Again, thank you again for the question to the member opposite. And yes, you're right. Transportation is a very important thing in this province, and people that don't have modes of transportation certainly need to be connected. And that's why the regional service commissions are taking the lead on rural transportation as it pertains to the traveling public and those that have difficulty getting to appointments, et cetera, et cetera. At this point in time, it is the regional service commissions that are the lead on this.